Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. And I really do hope that this video, hits the right people because I think for the longest time, a lot of people kind of overlooked Hedera and HBAR. I'm going to probably title this video, If You Hold HBAR, Watch This, because this is probably one of the most, if not, it is my most important video I've ever made on Hedera and HBAR. Why? Well, because I think that what we are seeing right now around the financial and banking sector is preparing us for the next step and the next evolution of our banking and financial sector. So let's dive in. And let's start off with this article here. So, for the longest time, um, Hedera has been rumored to be working on the digital dollar project. Going all the way back to March of 2021, we seen this. And during this time, again, I wasn't really reporting on Hedera every single day or anything like that. And I honestly wasn't even making daily content on YouTube. But I seen this article initially on, and I kind of wrote it off just because it didn't seem like much. But we do see the U.S. Federal Reserve has announced that it is assessing a central bank digital currency. Central bank has released the preconditions necessary for the launch of the digital dollar. Hedera is one of the platforms rumored to be potentially working on the CBDC, and they do mention its backers. Um, Now, with this, today, more than ever, we have seen the evolution of CBDCs. We have seen them become a focus point, a staple in most conversations. And yeah, it has been a focus point of mine to talk about Hedera within the US CBDC because Project New Dawn is a white paper that we have not forgot about. This was the white paper initially on the US CBDC, really kind of talking about the digital dollar, digital currencies, and things like that. And this was with collaborations like MTech, Microsoft, and even Hedera Hashgraph. At the time, it was called Hedera Hashgraph. Now, today, we know that they dropped the Hashgraph section of it, but hey, it still is Hedera Hashgraph in my mind. But these were the three collaborators, and this is when we actually started to talk about a possible scenario of Microsoft joining the GC of Hedera. That has never got to the point of being announced, but this was the main PDF or the white paper that we talked about and discussed, where Hedera could essentially be the core infrastructure for a US CBDC. And I still believe that that is the case today with the security mechanisms and things like that around Hedera. But I also think that we are seeing the evolution of our financial infrastructures. I think that everything that we have talked about from day one with DLT technology and even crypto technology is basically being realized in. And I really do hope a lot of people are focused on this because CBDCs are very, very important to know about, study, understand, and read about because this will change everyone's day-to-day life. And there's a lot of scary things tied to CBDCs. They are a very scary subject for the retail sector, but they are a very important subject as well to know about, understand, and like I said, I think everyone should 100% be studying these because they're coming, whether we like it or not, and it's going to change everything. So, with that, let's take a look at what recently got announced and why I'm actually making this video. So, MTech has been working with Hedera for a very long time, and they just announced that they are proud to work with IDEMIA as a CBDC solution provider allowing secure offline payments. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's probably because you remember this announcement from Hedera going back to March 15th, where they said Hedera is proud to partner with IDEMIA Group on their mission to provide secure, customizable, and accessible solutions to central banks, exploring CBDCs, unlocking the potential of connected Web3 economies while preserving user privacy. Now, before I even get in depth on just how large IDEMIA is, I did break them down in a previous video. But what I just found on their website is absolutely insane, which I will go in depth here in a second. But here is the LinkedIn post And we do see our paper on offline CBDC paper or payments, sorry, is finally out. Learn more on why offline payments are essential for CBDCs to succeed. The report will dive into how offline payments work, how to fulfill the promise of anywhere, anytime, and for everyone. Financial inclusion is privacy the defining factor for the success of the CBDC. How to ensure security and prevent double spending, and then we do see the report below. Also, Hedera is not the only one on this. If we actually go to the end here, look at all of the names tied to this. So we do see MTech, obviously, Bit, which also Bit is a pretty big name. If you guys haven't looked into them, I suggest you do. They're actually a pretty large company that is tied to a lot of CBDC mechanisms, solutions, etc. But we do see Hedera. We also see Polygon, and then we also do see Ripple and also Prosperous, which I've heard about Prosperous in the past. I haven't really done a full in-depth breakdown of them or anything like that. But it is very interesting to see all of these major names tied to this because we know offline payments is definitely a big focus point. We know that we've broken down, for an example, the World Economic Forum's focus point on offline payments because they do believe that there's going to be a massive blackout where systems do go down, and we need to make sure that these systems are resilient against things like that. So I could definitely see the reasoning behind offline payments and things like that. But this has been in plans for so long. Like this, like we have a much larger plan behind all of this that we don't know, right? There's a lot of things that the elites are preparing us for that we don't know. A lot of people think that I'm like a conspiracy theorist about that, but when you take a step back, there's been a lot of distractions lately around, everything. While guess what? Banks are starting to crumble, things are starting to crack, and it's pretty much preparing us for the next step, which is a CBDC system going live. And this is going to be tied to digital identity. We know Hedera has been focused on digital identity for a while. They've been focused on the Web3 world. But this does go in depth on eCash and all that kind of stuff around CBDCs, and there's a lot more tied to this. But realistically speaking, all I wanted to mention around this is that Hedera, as well as many other players, will be working on this. They will be collaborating on this. I always say collaboration is key when you are dealing with something like this big. Zinfin, for example, is a project that we talk about with trade finance. There's a lot of players tied to that in digitizing, trade finance as well. But let's take a look at how large IDEMIA actually is. So I did go to the About section on IDEMIA's website, and we talked a little bit about it. They are a big name in the space for governments, institutions, etc. They work with 600 plus governments, state and federal organizations, and 2,300 plus enterprise customers. But when all we looked at was their customer success map. That was it. We only looked at these players that were tied to it. When these are very large names like Apple, Sprint, Mastercard, Microsoft, etc. But then I downloaded their corporate brochure. So we just hear the leader in identity technologies. And at first, this doesn't really, show us much. We're like, all right, well, whatever. This isn't really much at all. But then as you do scroll down, you kind of get into a little bit more in-depth viewpoints on what they are focused on and how large of a company they actually are. So it gets very interesting down at this section here. So this is where we do talk a little bit about, that we've already kind of talked a little bit about this, in terms of like the governments that are tied to it, enterprises and things like that. But then on the next slide, here we have all of the banks that are tied to IDEMIA. American Express, Bank of America, HSBC, General, which we just talked about in a video recently, JCB as well, Microsoft, AT&T, Vodafone, BMW, Mercedes, etc. Like these are huge names, and they're working with 30% of the Fortune 500 companies. They trust them for payment, connectivity, and authentication. 900 million connectivity credentials issued per year, 800 million payment credentials issued per year, 100 million plus tokens provisioned for different token requesters, 15 million cards connected globally. Number one fintech payment card solution provider. You know what this all screams to me? Transactions. Transactions, 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 and it also solidifies just how big Hedera will be. And We do see down here 50% of countries use our technologies in the civil ID, public security, and travel sectors. You have all the names over here as well. Number one issuer of U.S. driver's license, physical and digital, enabling acceptance of state IDs and driver's license in Apple Wallet at TSA airport checkpoints. 500 multi-biometric search services systems deployed in the world. Number one in civil identity solutions, number one in passenger facilitation solutions globally as well. We secure billions of frictionless interactions every single day. This is massive amounts of transactions, securing banking and payment journeys as well. 1,900. Absolutely insane to me. 1,900 financial institutions and fintechs trust them, including most of the world's largest banks. Up to 6 million cards digitized per month in the three major mobile wallets. 50 million plus payment card PIN codes managed electronically. This is insane. What do you see? Today's financial institutions are undergoing a massive transformation and seeking multi-channel strategies to enrich client relationships. This is with some of the leading names within crypto. Again, the leading companies, the largest ones out there. Pay attention to the connections here. I'm telling you, this is a company everyone should be focused on, because this is much larger than it lets on to be. And I really do believe that this is going to be one of those companies that is a key player in the transformation of the financial and the banking sector. And ultimately, I do think that this is going to be much larger than anyone can even imagine. And all of this, like, there's so many possibilities around transactional demand with this partnership. I think that this is so much bigger than anything that we've really kind of reported on with Hedera so far, because this is a key player around the evolution of CBDCs. And in fact, I do think that their solution with offline payments is a big one. It's a huge demanded area around CBDCs. So again, I want you guys to focus on this company. It's so much bigger than just, offline payments. They are essentially becoming a leader around the technology infrastructure that CBDCs will need. And they are already working with some of the largest names out there. Now, also, why do I believe that Hedera is becoming a leader within CBDCs? Well, MTech has already, worked with them for so long on CBDCs, more so a CBDC infrastructure product, as you guys do see here, in terms of an efficient one. But also, remember, RBA, Reserve Bank of Australia, they have been planning use cases for CBDCs. What has this announcement with IDEMIA has been focused on? Offline payments. Offline payments, privacy, all of that. Guess what? Here's the research project exploring use cases for CBDCs. The first one through ANZ. Okay, so this is where things get very interesting. Go over to the government governance around Hedera, right? Look at all of these major players tied to them. Okay? What you don't see on here, what you don't see is the connections to ANZ. But that's because they are not a GC member. When we go over to this announcement back in August of last year, this was the deep connection that we needed to piece all of this together. We're excited to announce that OpenZeppelin, a recognized leader in Web3 security and auditing, has integrated its Defender and contract services, enabling ANZ Australia's second largest bank to secure its A dollar coin. This is basically their Aussie dollar stablecoin on the Hedera network. This was a huge one, right? This was a huge announcement that most people just overlooked. But with everything that we recently seen, everything that we have been talking about around the banking sector, Hedera is becoming a leader within banking and financial grade use cases and deployments of things like this. And it's because of the efficiencies that Hedera does boast. 1,000 times cheaper than Ethereum, 15 times performance increase over Ethereum, carbon negative. But also, compared to any other network in this space, look at the transactional demand. We know Hedera can handle transactional demand. And we're not talking about, a couple million transactions. No, we are talking about a billion transactions in less than 1 month. That's a game changer. But also, we could see that Open Zeppelin, as a leading security and auditing capability platform, this is becoming a key player within issuance of banking stablecoins. This is huge. This is huge. And also, ANZ, like I said, is focused on offline payments. They're also focused on nature based asset trading, superstream payments, and there's so much more here if you actually look at all of the other use cases. And guess who's becoming a leader around most of this? Hedera. They have major use cases already, in place. They're already doing huge things within a lot of these areas of focus. And ANZ knows the potential of Hedera. They have mentioned it many, many times. There's actually been videos of them talking about how more efficient Hedera is compared to Ethereum. And when you go over here, you can see everything around this update that we already broke this down back in August, but it is still very interesting to read today more than ever. I'll pause if you guys want to pause the video. I'll pause here for a second just so that you guys can pause it. But I really do think that it's use cases like these and announcements like these, and when you look at what these banks are trying to do, specifically RBA, and what ANZ has been focused on, it really gives you a little bit of a picture on just where things are headed and why names like Hedera will be at the forefront of the revolution. And we do see over here, Reserve Bank of Australia starts pilot to explore CBDC use cases. Australia's central bank plans to create a CBDC that will operate in a ring-fenced environment. And if we actually look down here, you guys can read more a little bit about this, but they've been planning this for a while. But the names that are tied to this, when we actually go over here, so Australia's central bank taps MasterCard and others to test CBDC use cases. Those names, well, when we look down here, well, ANZ was one, MasterCard, Manuva, and Australian Bond Exchange, DigiCash, Commonwealth Bank, and others. This was huge. And again, as we do focus on who could be the perfect case scenario for this issuance, Hedera definitely comes up quite a bit. And the reason why I believe Hedera will empower a lot of these use cases, well, guess what? They're already doing it. Offline payments has been a focus point. This has been a focus point since going all the way back to March 1st and even previous before March 1st. And now all of a sudden, we have this announcement that Hedera is working on, offline payments, and they're providing secure, customizable, and accessible solutions for central banks exploring CBDCs with Idemia Group, which, already has ties to massive names, and MTech also just casually reporting on this just recently as well. 2 days, 2 days after Hedera does it, with all of the connections that they have with Hedera through CBDCs, I'm not believing that this is not, this is not set in stone. Like, in my opinion, Hedera is becoming a leader within this space around technology. And again, Australia. Australia has been a leader for Hedera. Going back to the GC, go look at FPOS, right? This was a big one. January 2021, this got announced. We have broken this use case down so many times because of how large this one is. We still have not seen a huge update around FPOS lately, but I still believe that they're a huge one. And again, it's centered on financials. There's been so many financial grade use cases on Hedera issued out in planning, in pilots, and they've all proven to be extremely efficient, extremely lucrative for those that do want to issue out them. But also, remember, not centralized going back to March 1st as well, which I think this article got posted back on March 1st. Not centralized, posted this exciting news. We've been selected as a participant for the RBA Info DFC RC CBDC pilot project. We're thrilled to be working with alongside names like Combank, ANZ, Canvas DeFi, Manuva, and MasterCard. Our project involves using our protocol Trade Flows group with Hedera, Canvas DeFi, and others for construction payments improvements. Stay tuned for updates on our progress in this exciting venture. Here's an announcement on the RBA site. So RBA knows about Hedera, knows about the potential of Hedera. It is only a matter of time. Pay attention to these announcements. And again, like this barely got seen. 8,000 views. I mean, come on. And again, like I said, Hedera 7-day network update, 418 million transactions. Average CPS 695. Max CPS 8,000, almost 500. Right now, today, in the last 1 hour, 2.63 million transactions, 2,000 TPS, 731.5 TPS. Like, it's only a matter of time until Hedera is boasting massive amounts of TPS. I know that this is great, but as we looked at IDEMIA, I'm telling you, there is so much more to offer for Hedera, and I do believe that they are becoming a leader in terms of technology around the CBDC space, as well as other names like Ripple and Polygon, etc. Like these are the main ones that I've been focused on for quite some time. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on if you guys more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. So it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night, or if you guys are in this before, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.